Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I have done a movie review, so I'm super excited to be able to review Venom. Went to see this movie last night, didn't go to sleep until like 2:30 a.m., so forgive me, I am tired. I'm gonna take a nap as soon as this is done, but I really wanted to get this review up as quickly as possible, so again, sorry if this video is kind of scrambled and I'm talking really fast. I have a lot of friends who I know are going to see it tonight and who have been like badgering me all day to tell them how I felt about it. So yeah, no edits, I'm sleepy, I need a nap. So I'm got my notes here, I'm just gonna jump right into talking about the movie. A little bit of background on me personally, I don't think I have ever actually read a Spider-Man comic. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man. I grew up watching the 90s cartoon. I have watched all of the movies and loved all of them with the exception of one, which everyone hates, Emo Tobey Maguire. I'm looking at you. So for me, you know, I was never a huge Venom fangirl. I loved Doc Ock growing up for some reason. I have no idea why. So just a little preface for that going into the movie. Not a huge fangirl of Tom Hardy either. I have some friends, Shay, who are going to see this movie specifically for him, but yeah, I really didn't have a lot of expectations going in. This movie, if you guys have seen, has been getting trashed by all the critics. I have seen critics say that if you're not a fan of the comic book Venom, then you're probably gonna hate this movie. That being said, I love this movie. I know people are gonna, what was that laugh? I know people are gonna come for me so hard saying that, but I'm sorry. I love this movie. I had a really great time watching it. Again, I went in with super low expectations and I loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought the action was wonderful. Tom Hardy for me is what really made this movie. So I know me saying that I loved it is like making the bar sound really good. I'm gonna lower the bar for you. There's a lot of problems with this movie, and I totally 100% can understand why people can go into this movie and say that they absolutely hate it. And I think a lot of that rides on whether or not you like Tom Hardy as Venom. Again, I never really knew what Venom was like in the comics, but I have learned since watching this movie that Venom's kind of funnier than people. I don't know, I never thought that Venom was gonna be a funny character, but in this movie, he's extremely funny. And I think a lot of people went into this movie thinking it was gonna be dark, it was gonna be really gory, it was gonna be psychologically thrilling. It's a funny movie. It's a funny action movie, and if you're really going in hoping for something that's really gonna like get you in your darkety dark feels, you're probably gonna have a bad time. I thought that the humor was great. I saw some people, the reviews that were saying like they couldn't tell if it was supposed to be funny or not, and I feel like it's really obvious that it's supposed to be funny. I think the director also did Zombieland, so if you've seen that kind of horror, dark, you know, comedy, this is even a little less dark than that. You know, I think they could have definitely gone more of that way, kind of like Evil Dead, Shaun of the Dead. There's not a lot of, there is violence in this movie, but it's really obvious that they made the cuts the way that they did for the PG-13 rating. So if you want to see some carnage in the Venom movie, y'all, I need a nap. It's not. It's one of those action movies where, you know, there's action and but there's not gore. You know, Venom is a badass and he's doing all these things, but it's like it cuts away right before I would show the head getting bitten off, or you know, his whatever body parts going into their body parts. So it's not as dark or as brutal as it could have been, and that's just the studio trying to make money, which I understand. And honestly, 100%, if I'm gonna be honest, for me, I don't need my comic book movies to be super dark and gritty to enjoy them. And I feel like when the new Batman movies came out, everyone was like, oh, heck yeah, Batman's finally gonna kill people. And I'm like, I'm not really here for that. I don't know. I like my comic book movies. Not saying that they can't be realistic, but I don't need to see, I don't want to have therapy after I see a movie. Like, God, Logan ripped me apart. So for me, it was nice. I really liked it. It was lighthearted. But if you want that from your Venom movie, you're not going to get it. And so I can kind of understand why people would have been disappointed with this movie, thinking that that's what it's going to be. I don't know, from the trailer, honestly, I wasn't going in expecting that, just because of, what does he say, like a turd in the wind in the trailer, and I feel like from that you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and go, this is not going to be a super dark movie. But again, some people might have seen just a little clip of it and thought like, oh, this is going to be super dark, but it really wasn't. Yeah, and people were saying such ridiculous things about it, like saying it was like Catwoman movie bad. I just can't see how that's possible. There's a lot of things that are wrong with this movie, and I'm gonna tell you about them, but Catwoman level bad, I don't see that at all. So again, it all really hinges on whether or not that you like Tom Hardy. If you hate his portrayal of Venom, there's not a whole lot of other things in the movie that are really going to carry the movie for you. I really thought about this, you know, after the movie and all day today, because at first I was like, I feel like maybe it was just the storyline for the movie that really didn't sell it for me. But honestly, as far as storylines go, I wasn't expecting this movie to reinvent the wheel, and I feel like there's this kind of, I don't know, expectation now from viewers that comic book movies really need to break outside the mold because there are so many comic book movies. But I'm fine with it. I don't care. Comic book movies are based on comic books. There's a lot of cliches in those stories, and I know people will say that doesn't mean they can't be original, but I wasn't expecting the storyline to like be edgy, and I kept seeing that in the reviews too. People were like saying either the movie was trying too hard to be edgy or was not edgy enough. I didn't go to this movie thinking like, oh, I hope this movie is edgy. So for me, the storyline was fine. The problem with the storyline is that the pacing is god-awful. And I'm going to keep lowering the bar for you guys even more. Think like the newest, I think it's the newest version of Fantastic Four level of awful in terms of pacing and editing. The pacing for this movie is really terrible. I'm not the type of person where exposition doesn't bother me. I don't think I ever saw the Edward Norton Hulk, or what? No, it wasn't Edward Norton. What Hulk was it where everyone complained about like Hulk didn't show up for like forever? Venom doesn't make a serious appearance until pretty far along into this movie. I wasn't bothered by that, but the pacing for the second half of the movie is so breakneck that it really reminds me of Fantastic Four. Where like when I saw Fantastic Four, the first half of that movie, I was sitting there going like, this is okay. I don't really hate this movie. And then the second half, I was just like, what is happening? Why is everything being crammed into this little tiny space? All these major plot points are now crammed into this one little, and it just, I don't understand why they do. I mean, I do understand why they do that, because you can't keep audiences around for 3 hours for every single superhero movie, but at the same time, there's so many things in the beginning of this movie that could have been condensed, that things that, I'm just gonna say it, the romance between Tom Hardy and, I think her name is Michelle Williams, I felt like it was totally unnecessary, and I am a woman, shock, I'm surprised, so I appreciate when women are given a role to play in these movies, but I feel like her role in the movie was so forced. I was like, this whole dynamic between the two of them, you want to talk about some bad chemistry. I don't think I have seen chemistry this bad since like 50 Shades of Grey level of chemistry. The two of them obviously had no chemistry with one another. Literally every time they were on screen with one another, we were just looking at each other in the theater like, this is awkward. The dialogue between the two of them was really awkward. Her one-liners, horrible. I mean, like really bad, to the point where I'm like, I appreciate the studio making an effort to include a female role, but I would almost honestly rather her have not been in it at all than to make her so cheesy and corny and shoehorn her in as like this character, and then to cut the resolution of the movie down to so fast that it really makes no sense. It just, yeah, I just don't understand the pacing and the editing of it. There are things that happen in this movie. One instance in particular, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but Venom makes a decision, and I'm literally sitting there and I'm like, there's no way. You know, like, it doesn't make any sense for his character. It's such a device to get him to go to this place to reveal something about him, but then as soon as they, like, you know, Deus Ex Machina him there, he's like, oh, I want to leave. And I'm like, why? The decision didn't make any sense for him to go there in the first place. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when it happens. And so a lot of the motivations for characters is explained away like that. I mean, literally within like a two sentences of dialogue, people's entire motivations change. And I honestly was enjoying Hardy's portrayal of Venom so much that I let it slide, but you have to be in that mindset to be like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, but I'll allow it in order for you to enjoy the movie. And there's so many instances of that in this movie in the second half, to where things are just happening and you're like, okay, sure, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So narrative-wise and pacing-wise, it's a huge mess. What else do I have here on my little notes? Cliches. Yes, lots of cliches. One of my biggest pet peeves in movies for chase scenes is when they're chasing someone and the goal of the chase is to capture them, right? But they're doing all these things that would kill the person. So I'm just sitting here watching this and I'm like, are they trying to catch him or are they trying to kill him? Other parts of the movie were just way too convenient. I was like, okay, so this happened over here, but then this happened pretty much right after that. So are these two locations like right next door to each other? Because I don't think so, and I could be mistaken, but that just seems like way too convenient. So again, the narrative, the story, the pacing, you really have to suspend your disbelief and just kind of be like, okay, sure, why not? That's a thing, that's gonna happen, and just go with it. You know, I think that what happened with writing this is that they had a great concept, they had a great actor, in my opinion. You know, Michelle Williams is a great actress again, and I don't know the other actor who is the villain, but I thought he was fine too. He was a little bit cheesy, but whatever. And then they have this character and they're like, okay, so we need a conflict for this character, so let's make a conflict, and there it is, that's the conflict, and you're going like, okay, sure, I guess, you know. And that's the problem that I have with so many of the new DC movies, is that comic books have so many villains, so many good villains. And again, I'm not a Venom diehard whatsoever, so maybe these are tried and true villains, but to me they just seem so weak. I just can't, you know, I feel like people don't understand that what makes a great, I guess Venom's not a hero, anti-hero in this case, or whatever. What makes them great is that they have foils. They have people that they go against that are interesting, and Spider-Man, of course, you know, has so many great ones. So it's kind of disappointing to keep seeing over and over again these studios making these movies that have these lackluster villains or lackluster conflicts, and I'm like, that's what makes the superheroes or the villains or the comic book characters so great, is that these opposing forces are both, they're equal in their awesomeness and their terribleness, and so that when they clash, it's amazing. Speaking of clashing, the effects in this movie I really liked. It does get kind of sloppy, and people were asking me that too. They said, one of my friends, Dale, he said, is it too gooey? And I was like, well, I mean, it's Venom, so yeah, it's gooey, but they're fast. They're fast to the point where it was hard to see what was going on, but also they look so cool that the whole time I was thinking, like, I wish I could just pause this frame and put it up like on my wall as a wall scroll, because it looked that cool. So for me, I really like the design of the character. I know some people didn't really like it and they were complaining about his tongue, and I'm like, do you, Venom? Like, I'm not even a big fan of Venom, and I know that about him. So, I don't know. I feel like if you, to wrap up this whole rambling video, if you want to hate this movie, you can, easily. Especially if you were hoping for like the dark emo movie of your dreams and you want the angst and it's not really there. And it could have been. I feel like they could have gone that direction and made it into like a psychological horror and really played up on the symbiotic relationship. But to me, it was just funny. And I think that if you go into it expecting it to be comical and to have a good time, then you'll probably like it. Or you can hate it and be miserable and get your money back. I don't know. I know that so many people had such, my cat is snoring, had such horrible opinions of it. And I realized that saying this as someone who is critiquing a movie, that this is very hypocritical to say, but like, just enjoy the movie, you know? And I say that as someone who did a scathing review of the Power Rangers movie, which is another movie that I feel like if you just go to have a good time and just relax, you know, you'll probably like it. It's not Winter Soldier. It's not up to the caliber of some of the other Marvel movies, and I think that that's a good thing, that we have such high caliber Marvel movies out now, that when one that's not as good comes out, we can kind of point at it and be like, well, this is not as good, but as bad as Catwoman? Like, no. Come on. I want to know. Please tell me in the comments below. How do you feel about it? Maybe I was just so tired, I thought it was wonderful. Maybe I was so sleep deprived and I hadn't eaten a lot yesterday, so I thought it was great. But I honestly feel like if I go back and watch it again, then I'm gonna really like it. And I saw a critic who wrote something that really sums up this review. They said, I really, really like this movie. And don't get me wrong, it's terrible. It's terrible, but I really, really liked it. And so that is how I feel about Venom. If you just go to have a good time, I think you're gonna like it. But again, I also understand that movies are so flipping expensive these days, you guys. It's like $16 just to go to a regular one. And I did see this one for free, so maybe I'm just biased. Also, one other thing I forgot to talk about, the music. I don't even remember a single lyric or tone of music in this movie, so obviously it was not impressed upon me. That being said, spoiler alert, kind of. Some of you guys, I'm sure you've already seen, Eminem did a song, and I'm pretty sure that he wrote the song specifically for the movie. And it's so cheesy, but I love it. And you got, like movies like Ghostbusters or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that after the movie's played and you're watching the credits and then the song comes on that is literally telling you everything that just happened in the movie. I loved it. So at the end of the movie, this Eminem song comes on. And it's really cringy. I'm sorry, Eminem. And the song is like, Venom, 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 Venom. And everyone in the theater was just like, Venom, 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 Venom. It was bad, but it was good. Oh, another thing about this movie is, the last post-credit scene. I was expecting it, but like I was not expecting it. So that was cool. And they also have a little short afterwards for the new Spider-Verse animated movie, which if my friends could see that I forgot the name, they would like pulverize me because they've been talking about it in our group chat for like 1,000 years. But that was cute. I'll probably watch that too. But yeah, so that's my review of Venom. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Please like and subscribe. It means the world to me. It takes like 2 seconds if you just like this movie. If you just like this video, I really got a nap. And leave a comment. Let me know. I want to know how you guys felt about the movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were you like me? Were you like it was fun, but it wasn't the best? Did you hate it and you're going to go now and find all the copies and burn them? You know, I'm sure there are some diehard fans out there that are going to really hate this movie because they have come to know Venom in like a specific vein. And you always take a chance, I think, taking a character like that and making it comical and making it comedic, is that diehard fans who associate that as a certain portrayal, they're not going to like it. But, I mean, that's with every comic book movie, you take that risk, is that whoever plays them, you're gonna love it or hate it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching, and it is nap time. I'm so excited. I'm sorry this video was so rambly, but what's on my nose? I just can't care. Bye guys. Mwah.